tick, tick, tick on the wall. Maybe you could have it all. Get down on your knees and pray. Maybe she will let you stay. Good enough if you play the game. Here comes the music, don't resist. Gotta keep on moving. Here comes the music, just give in. Gotta keep on moving.
I missed my hands. It's in there though.
You missed your hand with clapping?
I mean, as long as he made some sort of noise, that's probably fine, right?
Yeah, I
I
guess.
missed
as
like
long as I can
the
identify it.
cupping that you want to do with a good clap.
Oh, I did that too. I hit my wrist. It was a bad clap.
Yeah, like,
if I was
it was
rating
like
the clap, I
finger
give it
to
a 4 out of 10. 'Cause it still
Honestly,
made
in my
noise.
experience, every case of the clap is a bad case of the clap. All right.
Hey.
All right, we made it.
For
So,
those
hey,
just tuning in, we have made so many gonorrhea jokes, or I have. Nirav has been disappointed in all of them.
listen, we're a half an hour into recording with
No,
All right.
technically we're a minute into recording. We have not recorded.
You're
We did
right.
not lose 12 minutes of probably bad content.
useless audio, essentially.
This is our first time recording today.
So let's
We definitely didn't talk about vacuums, the death of Barney.
Yes, I did-
Me
I did-
explaining improv.
I did bring up vacuums because my son has a new obsession, and it
Yeah.
is vacuums. He fucking loves vacuums. We used to vacuum with him when he was younger to try to get rid of the fear of vacuums, so he'd get used to the loud noise, and instead it has turned him into a vacuuming fucking monster, where he crawls to the corner of the room where the vacuum is, points at the vacuum, and screams at us until we start vacuuming. So in order to solve this problem in our minds as new parents, we bought him his own vacuum, and it has multiplied the issue because now he runs around the house banging his vacuum into walls and then also demanding we vacuum. At
It
the
should be
same
clarified this is a toy vacuum and not a real full vacuum cleaner.
And no, it is a toy vacuum. It does technically, like if you squeeze the button, it does like suck in, but it has very low useless suction.
Same as I could think of a whole joke for that. I'm sorry. I was like, yeah, it's just like
Say it, coward.
I couldn't think of the joke. Okay.
Okay.
Oh,
Your
also
house
Phil,
is way cleaner.
write in with your own poor suction joke.
that would be very
Yeah,
good.
Just one gets
we should
nothing.
do that. We should start taking reader mail actually.
Yeah.
Questions, ideas for cold opens, joke ideas.
Joke ideas would be really good. If you guys have
You want to
any
write
joke
the episode
ideas,
for us too.
see when we sit down before the episode and we write out the script for the episode, we really could use a few jokes to put in there, just
It'd be
to
great.
like because we like are really just we do these outlines are really strict that we put together. But anyway, welcome if you are new to A Court of Bros and Broses. And you know what? If you've been here before, welcome anyway. That's 2 welcomes for you.
Nope, get out. If you're a repeated visitor, get out. We want new people only. Stop
Oh, so
listening.
this is a first time listeners podcast only. This
Yeah.
is going to be
Yes.
difficult for
You know when you like when you fire up I remember this when you fire up Final Fantasy 15, the splash screen says a Final Fantasy for veterans and first timers. But I think for this it should just say like a podcast for first timers only. Veterans, get out.
We could be a Final Fantasy for first timers only.
Yeah.
Really confusing the actual message of this podcast.
Right. Okay, but anyway, I'm Nirav. I'm the host, and the person who's been talking about his son and his vacuum cleaner is Patrick. Say hi.
Hello, it's me, the person who's been talking about his son and his vacuum cleaner.
That should provide a solid audio baseline for everyone to associate your voice with Vacuum Man. All right, and Joe?
Vacuum Man. I don't know if I want to be Vacuum Man.
Joe, what have you been doing with your son?
Not having him.
Damn,
I
does he
guess-
know that?
Damn.
That's for whoever.
That's
That's
for whoever bears my child.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so insert some Elon Musk-esque whoever's bearing my child.
Oh, we
joke.
had to,
Have
why'd we have to bring him up? We're not even a minute into this podcast.
Because my brain is rotted.
Could we bring up instead the guy who voices Miles Morales, who keeps like lamenting on Twitter when famous women get married that they're not going to bear his children?
And he's the one that also is weirdly constantly hitting on the voice of Gwen. I can't remember her name.
Haley Steinfeld. Yeah.
Yeah, he's always in interviews.
Oh, the voice of
Weirdly-
Miles from
the
Spider-Verse,
from the
not
movies,
from the games.
not from the games,
Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
By the way,
the guy from the games is cool.
He's a cool
as
dude.
far as I
met
know.
him. Yeah, no, I met him actually. We got to talk because I did an interview with him a few years ago. Super cool dude, really charismatic, lots of energy, loves being Spider-Man. Check it out. All right, so let's get into. Nope, I almost said let's get into video games. Hold on, let's get out of video games.
Let's do it. Sorry, everyone. This is a video game podcast now.
If I had my druthers, it would be.
This is the most confusing introduction to somebody who has not listened to this show.
This
You're
is
right.
a podcast.
Let's scrap it. Let's scrap it.
Oh
Do
my
it.
God,
Third,
yeah.
third time's a charm.
Listen, let's okay, so this is a podcast where we're on a journey through A Court of Thorns and Roses. A few chapters at a time. We're doing a breakdown each episode, and we are just trying to learn something a little bit along the way.
We're on the second book now, though. We're
Yes.
on the Court of Mist and Fury.
That's
right?
correct. We are,
And
we're on
this. Oh, so yeah, we did chapters 13 through 16.
Yep. So
Previously, we did what was it?
basically, if you
7 to 12.
if you're listening along and you want to know where we are in the book, the last thing that just happened was that Tamlin trapped Feyre in the house, and then Rhys came and broke her out and took her to the Night Court, and that's kind of where we stopped. Sorry,
Amarantha. Somebody.
More came and rescued
More,
her.
not Amarantha. More broke her
Yeah.
out. I don't like that Amarantha and More have more in their name. It confuses me sometimes.
Well, I was
They
also
don't-
confused by the
wait,
fact
they
that
don't.
Amon, what the fuck is her name? Hold on.
Amarantha does not have the sound more in it.
Amarantha.
Well, I thought it was It's Amarantha.
It is Amarantha.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Fuck
Yeah.
me. I've been saying it wrong this whole time. All these conversations I have about this book in my personal life, I always say her name wrong. It's so embarrassing.
I was confused because of Amren, and then that's too close to Amarantha. Amren's a character we're going to meet in these chapters. But I had the same...
Wait, is her name Amren?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, why did we got?
I called her Amtrak by mistake earlier.
Yeah, Amren Diaz.
I love Amren Diaz. I like.
Yeah, I'm glad she's coming back for Shrek 5. Okay, chapter 13.
Yeah, there's just something about Amren.
Okay, we have to start talking about this book, or people are going to turn this off.
Fuck him.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
No,
this-
I mean, to be fair, Joe's saying "fuck them" to people who already turned the podcast off, so they're never going to hear this.
that's fair.
No, I'm saying that to all the fans, all the listeners.
This is Joe's classic vibe. He puts
Just
off
sort of
to
like
attract
negging
more
the
listeners.
audience. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, people like being talked down to in real life and over the internet.
Yeah.
As we've learned in this book, people love being talked down to.
That's true.
Joe's a huge Tamlin fan. For all our first-time listeners, Joe loves Tamlin.
If there's
He's
two
the
things
hero, right?
Joe loves, there's Tamlin and The Rock. Okay.
Facts.
Feyre. Okay, so Feyre has just been taken to the Night Court. She wakes up and Rhys is with her, and she's like, "Hey, what the fuck happened?" So as we suspected, Rhys could kind of, through their mutual connection, feel what was happening to her, or rather that she was terrified and something really bad was happening, and sent Moore to go grab her. I believe Rhys said he is the one who had to break the shield around the house.
Yeah, he broke it remotely though. He was like, he didn't leave the Night Court. He didn't enter.
He
the
did
spring
over
court.
Zoom.
Yeah, he did it over Zoom. He did a Zoom call with Alice, and then broke the shield through that call, and then more. But yeah, Rhys briefly describes, like, because Moore talks at the end of the book, like she did things like quote by the book, or at the end of the last chapter by the book, and Rhys briefly describes, like, if he himself had walked into the Night Court and broken her out, it would have started a war, basically. And we talked about the last end of the last episode. We kind of alluded to the fact we're like, oh, Tamlin's going to march his armies into the Night Court, but I suppose that in doing this the way Rhys did it, he avoided that. I don't understand.
I don't
why
think
that
he
is.
did.
I don't
At
really...
least,
I think Tamlin's still
like
going to
the-
overreact, is all I'm saying.
Oh
Like,
no, for sure he's
Yeah.
going to. But I guess Rhys, if Tamlin overreacts,
if
it's
they have
going
to
be
go to the
on
Geneva
Tamlin.
Convention and defend themselves in an international court, basically, Rhys has like the right to be like, okay, I follow the rules, So I think really what it comes down to is like
Yeah.
on the geopolitical stage, if the other lords have to get involved in this, they would take Rhys's side because he didn't break any rules, basically.
Do we think Tamlin is actually going to, considering how much Tamlin is a by the books guy and does things everything like
He loves
legal
the
and-
books.
He loves the books. He loves like tradition and doing things the way things were done. I wonder if he's actually going to like break laws to try
he's
and.
gonna flip shit because
He
like
is.
he
but
views
Yeah, for
Feyre
sure.
as property, and his property has been stolen. So
That's
he's
a
gonna
good
flip
point.
shit.
That's a good point.
It's like, I think that like he honestly may be more angry about the fact that like Reese did it than the fact that like she's been taken, almost, if that makes sense. Like,
well, I think he's probably going to assume that she was taken against her will.
Yeah, for sure.
And she's going to say, no, I wanted to stay here, and he's going to be like, no, they've brainwashed you, because he doesn't believe her.
Yeah, what you're saying doesn't. Yeah, I reject your reality and substitute my own.
Tamlin be like, for everything.
Yeah. So yeah, basically Moore got her and took her across the border over to the Night Court, and Reese is like, "Hey, you're not here by force. You can go back anytime, and I'll actually like literally, if you want to go back right now, I will take you." And she she feels like he means it and everything, and I also do think he does, but I also think he knows that she's not going to want to do that. But yeah, like, so yeah, she is there by her own right, or by her own will, and she's also not there as part of like their deal or whatever. So like, and then I was like, oh, I guess if she just like lives in the Night Court, she doesn't have to go to the Night Court for 1 week every month. That does save on travel costs.
Yep.
But yeah, so basically he says like, okay, I have to deal with a lot of business. I have to do big business now, make some big money moves. And you should stay here for a week and chill out. And I think, like, rightfully, she was like, I think I'm gonna like freak out if I do that. I wanna come with you. And he's like, all right, but like then you have to like join my secret council of secrets.
Well, he's just like, you can't say shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. He didn't say you have to join my council, but he's like, okay, where I'm going, you can't tell anyone about it. Like,
yeah, well, he even went to the point
secret.
where he was like, even if you go back to the Supreme Court, like, you have to lie about this to them for the rest of your life. Like, are you willing to do that?
Otherwise, people will die.
Yeah, frankly, I am kind of surprised that he even like did, like, considering what he's hiding and like how everything plays out. I'm kind of surprised he even did like bring her with him, even with that promise she wouldn't say anything.
Especially considering every time she's gone to Reese's place in the past, she has told Tamlin a play-by-play of everything that has happened while she was there. I think Reese is just clocked, rightfully so, that everything that just went down in the Supreme Court was bad enough
that she's not going to be going back there. Yeah.
Or not, even if she does go back, that she's probably not going to yap about what happens in the Night Court to Tamlin.
Are we yapping?
Yeah, he definitely has the trust in her, and he seems to have this up to how he's been established is a good. He can read people very well and doesn't make moves he thinks are going to harm him. He's not reckless in any sense. So yeah, he's like, I can tell that, to your point, Patrick, like even if she goes back, which is a possibility, I've done enough for her where she's not going to blow the lid on all of this.
Yeah, he's extremely calculated. Also, Nirav is drinking alcohol during the recording of this podcast.
Are we not supposed to do that?
I don't know. Our under 21 listeners are going to have a problem with that.
What? Wait, what?
Canceled.
I'm enjoying a nice vanilla porter from Breckenridge Brewery.
Don't sponsor. They're not paying us. Fuck them.
Oh, right. Sorry. I'll censor the name out of this.
No, just say it sucks. No, add in the beer sucks. Add slander or libel.
Yeah,
actually, it's not libel.
This sucks that I'm drinking it ironically.
Hell yeah.
Man, I love drinking beer ironically.
Okay, so basically Reese is like, fine, you gotta like swear yourself to secrecy, and she does, and they head out, and they end up in the Velaris, the city of 1,000 planets from that movie. And what was it called?
Well,
Valerian?
specifically, they show up in a townhouse.
Yes.
She gets inside. She's like, "Oh, I'm in a townhouse right now."
I like how she specified she's in like a townhouse, like just to let us know like the structure of the ownership of the land.
Yeah. Hey, for the readers, to give you something to latch onto to understand what I'm in a townhouse.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, wait a minute.
The buildings
a lot
are
of description
connected.
of the
Reese,
property.
Well, the thing is that we know now that Reese owns the land area underneath the building, but not around the building.
We also know that Reese shares 2 walls with neighbors, unless he's on an end unit.
He might be on an end unit. That's true.
This is true. They're in Velaris now.
Yeah, so when it said Velaris, City of Starlight,
Velaris.
Velaris.
I'm gonna say
I don't know.
Velaris because it's objectively wrong. I'm just gonna say Velaris.
Yeah, it sounds like Belarus.
Yeah, so Farrah's in Belarus.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, Belarus,
the former
city,
Soviet
the country
satellite
of Starlight
nation. Yeah. Belarus.
So
this is going to be huge for our one listener in Belarus.
So Farrah looks out the window and she sees a gigantic city, and I think at first Rhys tells her like, "Oh, we're going to a city," and she imagines in the wake of everything that happened with Amarantha, she's like, "Oh, it's going to be a ruin." She's like, "Oh, it's going to be ruined. Everything else is, absolutely wrecked." And she gets there and she is shocked to see that Velaris is not only not ruined, but it's like absolutely gorgeous, and it's like totally pristine, untouched by anything.
So I have to ask one thing: were we under the impression before this that every city had been physically destroyed? I know the populations had been like weaned out and everything, but I wasn't really under the impression every city was like physically ruined by now.
I wasn't either. Maybe that's just Farrah's assumption in that like Amarantha destroyed everything, because we haven't been told that explicitly. At least I don't think.
Yeah, her only experience is what happened to like the manor and the spring court in general. So, and then obviously Tamlin's kept her in the dark, so she's just kind of extrapolating from that of course Amarantha is the big bad. She has all these issues she's still working with, justifiably, with her time. She's like, oh yeah, of course Amarantha would have just nuked the world.
Yeah, I mean, she did take she was basically holding all of the lords of the courts like hostage in her mountain. So like, I mean, I can see the kingdoms like falling apart as far as like, just like the societal structure. I just wasn't under the impression that it would be ruins is all. But
I
agreed.
I can't legally say that out loud. Never mind.
What?
I was going to say a joke that probably legally can't be said, given the current FBI director. So not going to say that joke.
Okay.
Were you going to make a joke about the FBI? All right. But when Joe says FBI, he's talking about the female body inspectors.
Yeah.
Tamlin be like,
what are you talking about?
Tamlin is absolutely, he'd be team female body inspector.
You think he's wearing one of those shirts from Myrtle Beach that says female body inspector?
Female body inspector. And he wears that every time Farrah gets back from the night court, he's wearing that t-shirt. He says, all right, let me look at you.
Jesus Christ, you're right.
That's exactly what happens.
No,
yeah,
I don't think he has that shirt.
What's your evidence based off of? Patrick's basing this off of, what's happened in the book. What do you...
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You're right.
Prove Tamlin doesn't have that shirt in here.
Yeah.
He can't.
What if that was one of the gifts from someone in the villages? Like that was their offering during the tithe. He gets his shirt and Tamlin's like, "Yo, this rules. Thank you. This is perfect."
Fucking sick, dude.
So the thing is that you guys, like, Tamlin does suck, but you guys have turned him into some sort of like spring break frat bro all of a sudden.
He turns to Lucian like, dude, it's got titties on it, man. Look at this shirt.
Oh man. If only Tamlin was an asshole in a funny way like that.
That would be good.
Tamlin seems like he's like incredibly sexless when it comes to anybody that he's not dating. Like he doesn't acknowledge that like anything. I feel like if you made a sex joke around Tamlin, he would blush.
Or he would say, "I don't see sex."
I only see.
I don't
race.
see boobs.
Anyways, so they're in Rhys's, and Farrah asks about the house. And he's like, "Oh, it's my family house," and he has multiple houses, I guess, which I guess makes sense. He's rich, but this is technically he's like a third house too, because he has the house that like is on top of the night court, and then
that is like the palace, I believe, and then he has like a house here, which is like his personal house, which is why it's like smaller, and then he has like another house in Velaris somewhere,
which is the House of Wind, like on top of the cliff,
which is like the big house, yeah.
I thought that was like the whole different thing, but yeah.
Anyway, he's got multiple houses. He's got
and he said that the townhouse they're in right now is like warded, so only that Rhys and Moore can winnow in there, and anyone else. And he said like anyone else you wish can be in here as well, can access. So like, I don't know how that works, but he's given Farrah like some sort of.
It's like some sort of vampire thing where like somebody inside the house has to invite you in for you to be able to get in.
Yeah, and I guess Farrah has entered that circle of trust.
Yeah, she checked into the hotel and he gave her a bunch of extra room keys.
Yeah.
I like that.
She's got guest passes.
I like the idea of Reese leaving for the night and getting back, and Farrah has a bunch of guests over, and he's like, Farrah.
She was on the couch, really?
Yep.
This is a rental.
So within like minutes of her being there, it sounds like, there's a knock on the door, and like two
Goons.
big burly silhouettes with like two dudes with wings show up at the front door and are kind of talking shit.
Yeah.
They're negging Reese a little bit.
Yeah, so we eventually... Oh, sorry, we also learned that, like, she looks out the window and everything, and it's like, hey, what the fuck? There's this giant city here with a bunch of people. And he's like, oh, yeah, there's, like, shields over the city, too. There's, like, wards, and also it's, like, hidden, so unless you, like, already know about it, you can't find it. And, like, nobody, like, told Amarantha about it, basically, so she just didn't know it existed.
It's been like Velaris has been a secret for 5,000 years, which feels incredibly implausible. That not like one person would know about it. That seems crazy. You said that no one outside of the Night Court or outside of Velaris itself knows about the existence of Velaris, which seems insane and extremely unlikely that one person hasn't found out about it in another court.
I'm sure. Yeah, I mean, the lore behind it at least was that his family going back was ruthless in keeping it a secret. So I imagine that the second anybody was like gonna tell anyone at all, they would just immediately execute them.
It's like,
I think Reese mentions that like anyone who was going to whisper Velaris' existence found their heads wiped clean. I think he mentions that later, but like he mentions that like anyone who was going to spill the beans on Velaris would mysteriously find their heads wiped, because Reese would just like delete their brains.
Oh man.
Yep.
So yeah, then
even Amarantha didn't know. That's kind of jumping ahead, but yeah, even Amarantha didn't know about it, and this is where Faye was like, "Why didn't you use this as a place of refuge?" And Reese is like, "The fuck you talking about? Like everybody would just die if I opened this place up. Like at least I saved this city of people."
The servant girls.
This happens a little bit ahead, but like, she's in the living room and she hears Reese talking about the people at the door, and he kind of gives her the blessing of like, hey, if you want to meet these freaking psychopaths that are sitting on the front porch right now, you can, or you can meet them later and just go take a nap. And she's like, cool, thanks. And she goes upstairs and finds the servants.
The servants also tell her like Reese did some like crazy stuff to keep it hidden over the last like 50 years, and like maybe some like not so like great stuff, but has kept it hidden nonetheless, and that's like his story to tell, so like, you know, don't worry about it.
Yeah, they're kind of like dodgy about it. They're like, oh, we don't want to tell you why, but he did keep it a secret somehow.
Because the answer is murder.
And then she does have a second to process that like her marriage is effectively just over at this point, I think. Like it's like, okay, well, things have happened and decisions have been made. So like,
yeah, she very much like consciously thinks in her head like, I'm probably never going back to this court.
Yeah.
And I think at some point she told Reese like, I need to go back to get my stuff, basically. But like, what stuff?
Did she have stuff?
I don't know. I mean, she has stuff. She has painting supplies. Tamlin's gonna be so pissed that she didn't get her painting supplies.
Yeah. I mean, he got those just for her.
He's gonna be sitting at the spring court looking at the painting supplies, being like, she'll come back for this stuff. She needs it.
She'll come back for her purse, right?
Jeez. Okay, so they go out into the city, and she does get to see it. It's pretty much just like a nice looking city, from what I understand. Just like a city.
It sounds like a very fancy, it sounds like almost like a European city in a lot of ways. Like, I imagine Paris-esque.
Yeah.
Like, she talks about, like, cafes where everyone's out on the street drinking tea and with magically heated areas. And there's, like, a whole arts district. And
yeah, genuinely, like, what I was... Because I did just do was reading through this today, this part. Like, I was imagining the city from this new game, Claire Obscure Expedition 33, which is, like, fantasy fairy Paris. So...
I want to play that.
It's great so far. Only 2 hours in, but it's unbelievable already. Okay. Anyway, fantasy.
For some reason, my brain always goes to Ba Sing Se whenever I hear of a big city. So kind of the mental.
There's no war. That's good because there's no war here.
Yeah.
There's no war within the walls here. That is kind of what happened, though, right? Because they kind of insulated themselves from the war and let the war rage on without them for 100 years. This might
Yep.
be Ba Sing
Yeah.
Se. Oh, no.
For our first-time listeners, Ba Sing Se has come up every episode since we started this book.
Basically. Avatar references galore.
Yeah.
Yeah, this whole book in general has been full of Avatar references.
That's true.
Sarah J. Maas absolutely is familiar.
Oh
with
yeah,
Avatar,
there's
right? Like, she
no way
has to
she's
be.
not. No, it's absolutely.
Yeah. Because
Okay.
Feyre is Avatar Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, isn't she like only? How old is she? She's in her 40s, right?
Farrah, she's like 20 years old.
No, Sarah J. Maas.
Oh.
Like, I think when
I
she
have
wrote
no
this book,
idea.
she would have been in her. I'm just trying to think if she was somebody who would have watched Avatar as a kid, even possibly. But I think she's
probably.
not. I don't think she's much older than us. But anyway,
Well, Nirav, what you can't do is you can't look this up on your computer. You have to look this up on your phone.
you're right. I'm gonna do it right now.
I'm looking it up very quietly on my computer, typing very slowly. 39 years. You were close.
Yeah.
So yeah,
it's-
she
yeah,
definitely
very
could have
much so.
watched Avatar.
Yeah. Okay. So Farah does say the thing that I think I was thinking as well, which is like, it kind of sucks that this place was safe, like a safe haven, and everyone else just died. Like, you guys didn't really like reach out to like help people or take in refugees or etc. And Reese, I think correctly, is like, look, man, like we like if we did that, then everyone would have died. It's like, if we don't keep this place secret, if we just like started letting in people, then Amarantha would have found out about it and it would have been destroyed. Like,
It's kind of a catch-22, it feels like. It's like, on the one hand, yeah, it sucks that these people were just totally sheltered from the war and just got to live their beautiful lives in ignorance of anything bad that was happening in the rest of the entire Seven Kingdoms.
It weirdly
But on the
made
other
me-
side, like, what's the alternative, really? The alternative would be just that these people also suffer. Like, I don't know. I understand both sides of it.
yeah, this
I
actually,
understand Farrah being mad, and I understand Reese's point of view, though.
Yeah, this actually made me weirdly think of Black Panther, because there is kind of sort of the central thing that of the conflict of the first movie is like that Wakanda had sealed itself up using its like advanced technology from the horrors of colonization by the Europeans, and so like that country was like untouched, and they just like watched all of their brothers and sisters in like their neighboring countries like be taken over and enslaved and everything, and didn't do anything about it. And like, there was like that feeling within them of like, should we have helped them? Should we go help them now? Et cetera, et cetera. Like, but we can't reveal ourselves to the world or we'll lose everything. So
I can't wait for Michael B. Jordan to show up and get mad at Reese for everything he's done.
Michael B. Jordan is Reese. I don't know. Huh.
Well, no, Michael B. Jordan would be the antagonist to Reese. I'm not going to say Tamlin, because that's doing Michael
That's
B. Jordan
absolutely not
so
gonna happen.
dirty.
I would
That's
not-
so
I would
horrible.
not allow that.
I would
not allow that.
never do that to him.
By the way, I did see Sinners in theaters. Freaking fantastic movie. Go see that. It's very
I
good.
want to see it. It looks cool.
Okay. But yeah, anyway, I get the point of view of both of them, but like, I think I also kind of had the same. I like, I don't know. I was gonna say like, I think I ended up agreeing with Reese in that like, I get that you want to like keep this place like existing, because like, again, if you try to reach out and start helping people, like it pretty much is, you're going to like lose all of it entirely. So like, I kind of was on that side of it.
Yep. And then, yeah, so after Feyre gets a kind of a nice tour of the city, it's kind of when she gets to the art district and she sees everyone doing art, that she seems pretty kind of bummed, and she's like, I'm tired, I want to go back. And because at first Reese seems like, oh, he's the art area, do you want to look at the art? And then she's like, no, I'm tired, I want to go back. And Reese listens to her, which is a crazy concept.
No, you love art.
No, you love art. We're looking at the art district. I'm buying you paint sets.
I know that she's done this strategically, but it's like there's like she basically, or as in she is in Sarah J. Maas, has like set up like a little, not to the same degree certainly, but just a little countermeasure of like putting Feyre in a similar situation with Reese to something she was in with Tamlin, and just showing Reese doing like the absolute opposite thing that Tamlin did.
Yes.
Which I know is like, of course, like the intention, but it's always kind of
Wait,
like
what?
funny.
Wait,
What?
She intended to do that? It wasn't an accident?
All right, look,
Hold on, this is my first book. Wait, explain to me.
this is my first book. We did a
I've
whole
never read
book before this.
So look, I'm gonna be honest. I didn't read or listen to the first book. I was riffing the whole time.
Yeah, I would
Damn, Joe revealing himself as a master
manipulator.
Right
Yeah. We did
Let me
actually
explain improv to you. Hold on, let's take a brief moment to explain the core tenets of improv.
Well, only if you first
yes,
tell me about that
hey.
dream you had about how improv works. Okay, we're getting lost in the sauce here. We gotta get back to the district. Okay.
Yeah, so Farah asks about dinner tonight. So, like, Reese says they're going to dinner tonight at the House of Wind, which is his fancy house on the top of the mountain.
Right.
And he explains that the people there will be the same 4 people who are, like, in his group.
His inner
who
circle.
are his inner circle. Mor, Cassian, Azriel, and Amryn. And then he also explains his hierarchy of command, where Amryn is his number 2 and Mor is his number 3, and she was shocked like that women are his number 2 and 3 because
Equality in this economy?
Tamlin would never. And in general, it seems like that is a very uncommon thing in the 7 Kingdoms. I keep saying 7 Kingdoms because they are 7 Kingdoms, but that's actually technically
That's
Game
actually
of Thrones
yeah.
thing.
I was about to say that is Game of Thrones, but whatever.
I don't know what they're I don't know what that is. What's the land called?
Prithian.
7 courts.
Prithian. So anyway, the 7 Kingdoms
Yeah.
of Prithian.
No, yeah. So that point does come up that like he has women in like very high positions here, and guess what? He actually like listens to them when they talk, which is I don't know, man. It was a lot to take in. I've never heard of such a thing, but
Yeah, Sarah J. Maas is, again, we've brought this up before, but she's doing a lot of legwork to make Reese be like the coolest guy in this book.
the coolest
Like,
guy
being,
ever,
like-
which is like disconcerting
Okay. I'm
considering
starting to
what he
think
was
that-
like in the last book.
Yes.
I'm starting to think that Reese and this book are woke, and I don't think I'm into this anymore.
Ah.
I forgot Joke is notoriously anti-woke.
Very anti-woke.
Yeah. What would you say is
Yeah.
the most woke thing that Reese has done so far?
He's talked to a woman, and he wasn't talking down to her.
Well, the most
That's
woke
woke.
thing he's done is put a woman in command in his court or whatever, right?
At least
a
he
woman
did-
in
oh,
number
look.
2.
Look, it could be worse. He could have made a video game where a woman is the protagonist. Okay.
That's gonna be crazy when we get to the next book and Reese is making video games.
Nuts.
Okay. So
Yeah,
yeah.
and we also find out that Amryn is like, the city is minimum 5,000 years old, and Amryn is older than the city itself as well.
Yeah,
Right.
in this whole chunk of chapters, we only get like little nuggets of information about Amryn, but she seems like some sort of like mystical ancient beast trapped in a small woman's body.
It seems like
Yeah.
she's a vampire.
It's fucking rad.
Oh, that's a good point. Maybe she is a vampire. I hadn't thought about that.
I think she's. Well, they also make a point of like later, like, oh, well, she doesn't eat food, but what does she eat? I'm like, it's blood.
It's blood. It's got
Well, she likes to hoard jewelry, which is also a dragon's.
That's a
Maybe she's
dragon. Maybe she's a dragon. Oh
And
no,
they
is this
describe
one?
her-
dragon.
Is this one of those anime girls that's a 3,000-year-old dragon in a 14-year-old girl's body? So
Yes.
it's okay.
Dude, that's a classic anime trope.
classic. But they also do describe her smile as serpentine later.
Dude, it's
So
the
maybe
adder.
she's-
Oh no.
No, adders aren't serpents. We're getting canceled for this. Alexa's
Which one's
actually, it was
which
Rachel
one's-
super mad.
No,
at us.
Rachel. I can't bring up the word snake ever again, by the way, in Rachel's presence. She gets furious with me.
That snakes are real.
That snakes would ever be in a fictional book and also be in fantasy. I don't
Also,
know.
I noticed that like in this, they mentioned the Naga again, but in this book, Jennifer Ikeda, the narrator, says Naga.
Naga.
Yeah, fucking furious.
She also says Boj wrong, which is
That was
irritating.
weird. That was
know.
weird. But I did suspect that she was had changed the pronunciation of the word for a different reason. But maybe.
Oh yes.
I'm gonna be honest. I forgot what the original pronunciation of Boj was supposed to be.
Yeah, for all of our new listeners, by the way, we decided in episode 2 of the last book that we're pronouncing the word Boj like Boj, and none of us actually know what it's pronounced like anymore. Don't
Yeah.
correct us. But
I'm not interested
That's
in your
just-
corrections.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm interested in your corrections, but only so that I can like respond to you aggressively online.
Joe, number 1 Tamlin fan.
Joe's also the #1 online commenter I've found.
This is true.
Okay, so Amryn, like we said, is like some sort of ancient vampire sealed in the body of a teenage girl and likes to, hoard gold, and she's very angry and has like a lot. It just like has a lot going on. But we find out that she used to be something and went through a similar process to Feyre in that she like kind of became a fairy.
We don't know that until like we find out about that in like chapter 16.
Yeah.
But like
we do find out that also Rhys he claims he's the most powerful High Lord in Prithian history, which is a interesting reveal. Which makes sense. It's kind of what we've been led to believe, but it's like he doesn't say it like in a bragging way. He's very matter of fact. Like, I am the most powerful High Lord that's ever existed.
Yeah, nice.
So they're talking about in general. Like, I think Rhys is giving Feyre like a quick debrief about who his court is, like who his top 4 people are. I think he also mentions, and maybe this is later that he mentions that because he appointed 2 women to his court, most of the other people in his court left. But I think he mentions that later when talking about his
it was more to it than that, but yeah.
Yeah, like a lot of people didn't like that, and they also, we'll get into it, but like they didn't like that he had taken over the court because he's like half Imrith or what?
He's basically a bastard in the eyes of
Illyrians.
The Illyrians.
It was like he's mixed race, so people were like, "Oh, we're racist. You're not pureblood." And then he's like, "Well, too bad. I'm the most powerful High Lord that's ever existed, so I'm gonna fuck y'all up." So,
anyway,
we'll get to, but it's pretty good. But
so Rhys talks about his court, talks about how he's the most powerful person in Prithian history, and then Feyre basically said, I don't know what the context of her saying this was, but she basically kind of hopes that she was dead. I don't remember why she said this.
She's just like very depressed and like this has just been a lot for her, and she's realizing as he's describing all of this, like Amren's incredibly powerful, Rhys is incredibly powerful, and he's just described this insanely powerful council of people. She's like, well, if I walk in there, they might just kill me, which would be great. It's like suicidal ideation, basically. We're just like, if I walk in there and die, that'd be fucking great.
And then Rhys, who we know already had thoughts of suicide in his time under Amarantha, like basically grabs her face, not hard, but he grabs her face and like gets in her face. And he's like, "Don't you ever think that?" Not in like an angry way, but like in a very like stern, like, "Hey, you're worth more than that. Don't think that." Like in a very encouraging way. And then when he does that, she inadvertently jumps into his head.
Yeah.
Which is the first time she's done that since she did it to Lucian. And she gets a look at herself and she sees like how just like gaunt and it's like skinny she looks and how tired she looks and just how
it's basically what happens to you after like months of extreme stress
and depression and emotional abuse and just the life she's led over the last few months. Because she gets a glimpse of just how bad she really does look in the eyes of someone else. Did they not have mirrors in this world?
That's a great question, because it seems like the only way to look at yourself is to go inside somebody else's mind.
They've got to have mirrors, right? I don't know. I know mirrors in the olden days were like very expensive, and the only reason I know that is because of the anime Apothecary Diaries, which had a whole arc about mirrors being expensive.
Was there a 3,000-year-old dragon and a little girl in that one?
There's a little girl. There might be a dragon. I'm only in season 2. I don't know what happens after this.
I think my headcanon would be that they never said it, but like, mirrors probably exist, but also if they do, she just wouldn't have given a shit what she looks like. She never would have bothered to look in a mirror.
Yeah, I guess it's different
like
seeing yourself through the eyes of another person versus looking at yourself in a mirror, I guess.
Yeah, it kind of contextualizes everything really when you see it like that.
Yeah, so basically they continue on, and Feyre is like, okay, well, if there's a war coming and the King of Hybern's coming, like, he also doesn't know that there's a city here like Amarantha, so he's just gonna go around and like kill everybody else, and like this city will be safe. And they're like, yeah, I mean, that's the point of the thing.
Oh, but also Rhys then once she goes into his mind, reveals that she has his powers, and what he is called and what now she is called is a Daemati, which is somebody that can go into the thoughts of somebody else. And that basically explains that you have to be incredibly constantly on guard, because if you're not, a more powerful Daemati can actually just control you as their slave without you even knowing, or also like go into your brain and see that Velaris exists, which we cannot have happening. But he's like, yeah, there are other people. It was always implied, but he more explicitly says this is a class of thing that exists, and there are crazy powerful Daemati that will absolutely abuse the connection you have open if you don't kind of steal your mind a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And then he kind of questions like how she was able to get into his mind, and what he concludes is because he gave her his power is like the power confused him or her power for him, so like it allowed her to get through his shield because his shield thought her
basically
power was
like
his power.
Yeah, like he donated blood to her, and then it like interacting with his blood again thinks it's the same thing. So anyway, okay, so then they do Aladdin.
Oh yeah, I was like, wait, what? I was like, are we really doing this? All right.
Yeah, no, I think I thought I dreamed this.
Oh yeah, he puts his hand out while standing on a ledge and says, "Do you trust me?"
Yeah, and then she takes his hand, and then they fly up into the sky over the city, and I was like, I thought this was like a dream sequence at first, and then they got to the place, and I was like, oh, I guess it wasn't. Okay. But anyway, yeah, they do like the whole new world, and I'm sure I can think of some lyrics for that given enough time. But anyway, he does talk to her though about like the House of Wind and starts giving her some like backstory on himself. Like he said he was like very close with his mom and that they would go flying and stuff like that when he was a kid, and he really enjoyed flying as his mother did. We're gonna find out a lot more about that soon.
I'm gonna ask: are there people that would have the ability of flight and be like, I fucking hate flying. This is dog shit.
Okay, look, if people could fly, they would consider it exercise. I'm just saying they wouldn't do it.
Yeah, but like relative to walking.
I mean, running is faster than walking. Do you run everywhere?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, you do.
100%.
No, you don't. You're not a person who runs everywhere.
Yes,
Are you
I
in an
am.
office? You run to the bathroom.
Yeah, because I have bladder issues and I gotta get there immediately, or I'm
places
gonna
to
piss
be.
myself.
This
Yeah.
is a bit. Can you imagine?
I also throw my arms
everywhere
behind me. I also do the Naruto run because it makes you go faster.
That makes sense. It does make
that does make you
more
faster.
aerodynamic. That's
I do
just
speed
science.
walk. I do walk fast as shit though. I hate walking anywhere slowly. And if you're in an airport and you're in front of me and you're walking slowly, I will have dark thoughts about pushing you because I don't care how old or young.
The
or
airport
feeble
is
you
a
are.
lawless place, man. You can if chips cost $17, I can push you out of the way if you're walking slow.
100%. If you get on the fucking the flat escalator, like the walking escalator that they use to cover long distances, and you just stand there.
Yeah. No.
I hope
Luckily,
you get
those are usually.
I hope you get your Crocs caught in the escalator next time and lose your.
Those
foot.
are wide enough so you
Crocs.
can, if you want to stand on it, you can, but you stand off to one side. But often people will stand on one side, put their luggage to the next to them, so they block the entire thing. No. I hate that shit.
Okay.
Who's a comedian who does a joke about airports being a
What?
lawless place?
Probably all of
it's
them.
it's like a tweet or something from like 10
Oh, it's a
years
tweet.
ago.
You're right. That's
Yeah,
what it
it
is.
was like beer for breakfast or whatever. You could sleep on the floor.
But yeah, Joe. But I also walk quickly, but Alexa has short legs that are like half the length of my legs, so she generally walks a lot slower, and I've had to train myself to walk slower so she doesn't get mad at me.
What you can do is have her get the that leg lengthening surgery, so she can have longer legs and up her stride.
I'll just get her stilts.
I literally was
shit.
about to say stilts.
Like little stilts, just like little 1 foot.
Right, like a
stilts.
foot long. Yeah, 100%. Can you imagine go to a circus and there's a guy in stilts that are like a foot tall doing tricks?
A very short man on stilts.
And he's
on
only
1 foot
juggling two balls. It's like, are you just gonna half-ass everything?
just doing just two left and right.
That would be me at the circus.
That'd be great. I would actually 100% go to a half-assed circus where everybody does like a subversion of an actual thing.
That's true. I like that.
That's
It,
gotta-
like,
that's gotta
instead of like
exist.
sending out a tiger, it's just somebody's cat.
Yeah.
That's good. Okay, so basically, at this point, Feyre, like seeing the city and all that, she realizes like, hey, like I literally like haven't seen anything of the Spring Court besides like the estate. Like, I've not seen any of the, like, villages there or the people or the lands or anything that used to be there. And I never really, like, thought about how big the world is, like, is her main thing. Like, I forgot that, or not forgot, like, I just didn't really have an understanding of, like, how big everything is.
And isn't this where Reason's like, oh, tell me a secret and I'll tell you a secret or whatever. And then he ends up telling her 2 secrets. I don't remember what the 2 secrets were. This summary doesn't really have. Reason says he spoke 50 years. He spent 50 years under the mountain and felt he would never see Velaris again, and he wishes he had been the one to kill Amarantha. Oh, those are his 2 secrets. He spent 50 years under the mountain and was worried he would never see Velaris again, and he wishes he was the one who killed Amarantha. So he's like, "Oh, I told you 2. Now you have to tell me, at least 1 secret." So she admits to some pretty serious stuff right now, and kind of what we alluded to a little before. Like we talked about this last episode, talking about like, oh yeah, Tamlin ends up being, really, really shitty, and he's controlling, and like why, like what is this experience she's having with him? And then Farah does a very good self-assessment here, which is like a shockingly good self-assessment, where she says she thinks he was just lonely, like a lonely, hopeless person who fell in love with the first person who showed her any hint of kindness and safety. So she basically admits that she fell in love with Tamlin because she was just in such a low place in her life that she was just desperate for anything to love her. And that worked for who she was before, when she was desperate and lonely and sad. But now she is like a better person, and she has, more confidence, and she, feels like she's living for something. So Tamlin's just absolute bare minimum shitty love is not really cutting it anymore, which is kind of what the last few chapters of the book have been exploring, I guess.
Yeah, it definitely is all the very negative, like the more negative view of it, and giving herself no credit in it, as well as the, obviously he changed dramatically, and it was a slow dive into all of this, but this is more of the self-loathing of like, I'm kind of realizing my role, I guess, like the autonomy I had in this, or I guess kind of lack of autonomy to a degree. But yeah, she's like, this.
I think it also is
finally coming to terms with it.
I think she also is acknowledging that she like can do more and wants to do more, though. Like, yeah. So that's. But yeah, I get it. Like, easy to blame yourself for things like that.
Yeah, and that now she has the autonomy to.
Yeah, I don't even know if she was fully blaming herself. It was more she was kind of just like assessing, like, okay, this is what I felt. I guess that is kind of a little bit of blame. Like, she felt she only deserved the bare minimum, or she didn't.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Anything else? I mean, she also wasn't like her only experience with men in her life. Like, she had it, like, at least as far as we know, she had experienced like 2 men in her life before Tamlin. One was her shitty father, and one was the stable boy that she used to sleep with.
Isaac?
Yeah, you're right. Whose name we remember still to this day.
Isaac. And then everyone who listens to our podcast is mad that we even know his name. But yeah, so like that's her experience with men. So Tamlin was like the 3rd man she had any experience with, and he was a small step above those other dudes, where she was like, this is great. This is what love is. This is the best. And then very quickly realizes that.
To be fair, he was acting very different before, and I think it's just because he had. The thing is that like Tamlin had been in like a position of like being humbled for like 50 years. So like,
yeah,
I can believe the guy he is now is like who he used to be 50 years ago, but I also am like surprised he like sprung back into that so quickly, I guess.
Yeah, we talked about this a bit in the last episode. Yeah. The fact that he bounced back so quickly, and it feels jarring almost to us as the audience. I am actually kind of curious if because I think to your point, you're probably right that he was like this before all this happened, because Lucian and Alice and stuff don't really seem surprised at his behavior.
Yeah,
they're very much just like, this is Tamlin being Tamlin, and it's like, oh, okay, so Tamlin just sucks.
I don't know. I don't know. It feels like Lucian is bothered by this in a way where it's not normal, where clearly like everything that's happened under the mountain, whatever he was, has made everything much worse in his personality.
That's true. Yeah, I guess the stuff that happened under the mountain and the stuff that happened over the last 50 years has changed Tamlin a little bit, at least. But it also feels like Tamlin didn't have anyone like a romantic interest before, so maybe he just doesn't know how to navigate that as well. So Lucian is reacting to that a little bit.
I think he like, I mean, it's not like he'd been like married before or anything, but yeah, I don't know if he'd had like a relationship before, or I don't know. It's just kind of, I think all I'm saying is that like, I think it's just kind of like, from our point of view, happened too quickly because we kind of skipped over those like 3 months after the mountain stuff as far as like book form, like, you know what I mean? And then like he's like this, it's like, okay, if gradually day by day you went through every day and saw him kind of getting like a little bit different, it's like probably a little bit more easy to digest, but obviously that's not really how stories play out.
I think it was still slow rolled enough from what we even saw in this book so far of his descent into just further and further controlling nature. But also I'm thinking back as we talk about it to the first book, and he was always still had that controlling streak of he withheld information.
Yeah,
granted there was
true.
that curse on it at the like that's the thing is like in the first book he had that controlling nature where he let her leave because he was so afraid of her getting hurt despite it damning the whole kingdom essentially, and Lucian's like, dude, what are you doing? And in the first book, he had the allowances of there's this curse, I can't mention certain things, there's this situation going on, but he always had that same vibe of controllingness, but there were kind of excuses that could be made. And at the time in the first book, he did see in her that she was autonomous and had capabilities, like with hunting and talking about providing for her family. He like sympathized with that. So he had the remnants of what he is now, but he also was fundamentally still kind of seemed to have trusted her, but again, out of desperation and because he was kidnapped and taken under the mountain. And so he literally had no choice but to trust that she could take care of this.
Yeah, I think that's true. I guess like, yeah,
but I don't even think he was expecting her to come back, right?
Mm-mm.
Like he just thought, like when he was taken prisoner, he's like,
no,
okay,
no.
well,
I
this
think
is
when
my
he
life now.
No, I think when he told her to go, he thought she was just leaving. Like, yeah. All right, so we get to dinner and we meet Cassian and Azriel. Cassian is kind of the buff boy, and he's kind of a big soldier man.
Big soldier man.
A big soldier man. And then Azriel, have either of you played Undertale? So there's a character called Azriel from that game, and he's sort of a cow man, but he's like a dark god of this world. And so I'm thinking that might be him. But
Okay, I was thinking
Azrael's
also
as a cow god.
Yeah.
No, dude. What? Are we not gonna? Didn't Darksiders that series have a character named Azriel?
Maybe.
That was like,
I didn't play Darksiders, but
the fuck?
What the fuck?
What the fuck?
Yeah, sorry, we're big Darksiders fans over here. I think
I feel attacked.
I think the last game came out 15 years ago. So, all right.
Fuck you. You've been a video game reviewer since you were like 2 months old.
That's true. I came out the womb talking about Ocarina of Time.
It wasn't even out yet when you were born.
No, it
Right?
wasn't.
When
That
were
was
born.
that was the impressive part, man. It was not out. It wasn't out for years after that. Wait, no, I was okay. I was talking about Link's Awakening. That came out the year I was born.
Okay.
Anyway,
That's a dumb game. Oh, we're all big Legend of Zelda fans. Fuck you. Not gonna like Darksiders. Fuck you and your taste in games.
Are you comparing Darksiders to Legend of Zelda, Joe?
I've never been a big Legend of Zelda fan, personally.
But as far as
he's a big
popularity,
Darksiders fan.
I'm dying on this hill.
I'd hazard a guess that most of our listeners don't even know what Darksiders is.
That's fair. That would be a fair guess. Okay, so we meet Azriel. Like I said, Azriel is. I talked to Lindsay briefly after I finished these chapters today, and she said he was the ultimate Shadow Daddy, Azriel. And so we should think
Okay.
of him as such.
Should I Google image search right now? Ultimate Shadow Daddy.
Maybe. I mean,
I'm
Yeah,
doing
safe
like safe
search
search.
off.
on
yeah,
it.
just turn.
No, off.
Yeah, just don't put in any like ACOTAR words to avoid spoilers. But yeah, Google Ultimate Shadow Daddy.
Ultimate Shadow Daddy.
It's
I
gonna
got.
fu-
I have it. No, this is great. I have
Is it
an
gonna be
AI.
Shadow the Hedgehog?
No, Google has given me an AI description of this. The quote Ultimate Shadow Daddy is a fictional context generally refers to a powerful, mysterious, and brooding male character who is both protective and alluring to the female protagonist. The archetype often blends darkness with devotion, wielding powerful, shadowy abilities and demonstrating unwavering loyalty to his love interest. That, honestly, not a bad response.
Sounds like a good man.
Oh, Reason's actually giving it as an example of this. So,
I found some good pictures of Shadow Daddies.
Oh, I didn't do image search. You're right. I should have done that. But yeah, so chapter 16 is an absolute gigantic lore dump. Like, I think it is done way more organically than the lore dump.
Yeah,
Alice
that is.
does a lore dump in the first book. It's far more conversational, and it's different characters talking about their their
having
history and
more than
everything.
one character there makes a big difference because then it becomes a conversation and not just monologuing.
It's great. It's very good, but also it's still a fuck ton of information.
I did not retain
so much.
I need to be very clear. Like, I tried very hard. I do not believe I retained all this information because a lot of it came in.
I did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Retained all of it.
No comment.
Good for you, Joe.
Okay, so they sit down, and we also are... So we're introduced to everyone's positions, too. So Cassian is the military guy. He's sort of the leader of the armies for the Night Court. And then Azrael
and then
is
their positions are also, he's the bottom, Azrael is the top.
He's the top, yeah, for sure.
And then Amryn and Moore are kind of just like on the wings, usually in the cuck chairs.
Huh.
Mm-hmm. Subverting expectations.
So if the five of them are making a Power Rangers-esque,
they're forming a Voltron.
They're forming a Voltron. So Cassian and Azrael, are they their legs then?
Azrael's the head.
Okay. Well, Farah has to be. What's Farah then?
Reese is the body for sure.
Reese is definitely the body.
I don't think anybody was the body. I think it's
yeah.
the arms and then the legs and the head, right? Or is that Exodia?
Okay, well then Reese is the head then.
No, Favor's the head. Reese is the body. Favor's the head.
But there's only five Power Rangers. Okay. Anyway,
one of them can we can add body parts. It's
Which
fine.
is the Power Rangers when they turned into dinosaurs? Because I think more of them could fit into a T-Rex.
Was
that it? Is that how it
Megazord?
goes?
Megazord? What is it?
Megazord is a bird.
It was like Power Rangers Megazord Force or whatever.
Look, I retained everything about this chapter. I didn't retain everything about Power Rangers, okay?
Okay, that's fair.
Wow.
Okay, so...
Joe has his priorities straight.
Cassian is the military man, and Azrael is the master of whispers. He's the Varys of this crew.
I was about to say, yeah, he's Varys.
So we meet Amryn, who again looks like a young woman, but like if you look into her eyes, you see infinity, and you hear the devil's real name spoken backwards. And then there's so basically both of them used to be some other species. We don't know what Armin.
No, they still are. They're still that species. You mean Farah and
Amryn. Amryn. Yeah, they both
okay.
used to be some other species, and they're in fairy bodies essentially. And then they say there's a third named Miriam, somewhere out there. And then
Miriam was the only
happened?
Other human to have ever been turned into a high fae.
Yeah, so
but she wasn't even. But Miriam didn't get a whole new body the way Farah did.
Mm-mm.
Miriam was just granted immortality. So Farah's like kind of the first time this has ever really happened where a human died and then was granted a new fairy body.
Yeah.
Which is why she's very interesting.
Yeah. It's established that she has the soul of a human, but her body is high fae. So we've now learned that that's kind of the spiritual structure of what she is.
Yeah. All right. So then they start talking about the siphons, and then he says the word siphon filter as a reference to the PlayStation game from 1999, I guess, which was weird.
Yeah. Once again, video games in the world of
you don't know fucking Darksiders, but you pulled that random reference out of your ass.
We know what Darksiders is.
What is
familiar with the game Darksiders? I just don't know.
You want me to Google how many copies of Darksiders have been sold? I'll do it.
Yeah, do it.
You keep talking.
It's gonna be Joe's the only person who bought Darksiders. That's why they're making a huge, line of more dark
Franchi-
side in the future.
They made 4 of them, and then they stopped because there's only 4 Horsemen of Death or Horsemen of the Apocalypse.
I guess that makes
And
sense.
the game stopped selling so well, and THQ also went bankrupt. So
Oh yeah, they did. Well, they turned it
yeah.
to Embracer Group. Okay, they've sold a total of 6 million franchise sales. So that's not nothing.
That's not bad.
It's not bad.
Joe really putting a lot of legwork into buying multiple copies of the game.
Yeah, that's like almost one Zelda game. All
I'm
right.
so broke. Please send us donations. I bought so many copies of Darksiders to keep THQ afloat. It did not work or pan out.
It did not. It did not. I mean, at least they saw the passion, and then Embracer Group revitalized THQ and
Yeah.
call it THQ Nordic, I guess, is their new name.
Yeah, it was a very complicated situation, but basically, yeah, they got bought out by an investment company and was like, hey, let's destroy video games. So, Asriel talks about the siphons, and then
Which the siphons are like the little colored stones they have in the back of the wrists, that they're back of their hands, that help focus their power, focus their energy.
yeah, this are like Power Ranger rings or whatever. And then
I think you're describing Captain Planet right now.
nope, I think I'm talking about the Wonder Twins.
Could also be
Like,
that.
Attach their rings together.
Or Green Lantern, or
Green
probably
Lantern. Green Lantern's a better
That's a
example
common one.
for people. Okay,
That's
so
I think that's more accurate because especially with Cassian, he doesn't have powers. He's just like is naturally powerful from being. He's like the most powerful Illyrian that's ever existed.
Besides
And
Reese.
so yeah, he's just
Yeah.
channeling willpower through a ring. I guess it's pretty Green Lantern.
It just helps him
Yeah.
like focus his strength, I guess. So he's not just
Yeah.
like a totally unruly.
I mean,
beast.
it's essentially what a wand is supposed to do. Like, focus the magical energy into like a singular thing.
Got it.
So
And also,
yeah.
wands provide plot convenience because then you can lose them and then you can't do stuff. It's like Spider-Man's web shooters.
Ah,
Yeah.
that's except when the Tobey Maguire one where it comes out of his hands.
Yep.
All right. The Reese talks to Cassian. It tells that like Cassian and Azrael aren't technically like lords because they aren't like noble born or anything. So Moore is the only person here who has like an actual like legally given title, basically.
Including Reese.
Including Reese, yeah, because he is actually half Illyrian, which I had to get some clarity on this because, and so when I talked to Lindsay, like, because they talk about the Illyrians like they're a different like species, but I think they're just like a culture of still fairies.
No, I think it is kind of. They are another species of fairies because Illyrians have wings.
They are a
Not
type of
Illyrians
fairy. Yeah,
don't.
they're a type of fairy. They're not like a third thing. That's what I was trying.
Oh
to
yeah,
clarify.
yeah. They're
Yeah.
they're just a different kind of fairy. Yeah.
Yes. So.
But that's why Reese has his wings. We find out is because his mom was Illyrian, and so that's why. Because I just had assumed that all Night Court High Lords have wings. We find out that Reese isn't technically a High Lord. He's only
he is.
part.
He's High Lord because that's just like a position of power.
Sorry, he's not high.
Highborn or whatever.
He's
high
like-
fae,
Yeah, he's like half High Fae, half Illyrian.
He's a bastard. He's a Jon
Although he
Snow.
wasn't either. Although they keep calling him a bastard, he wasn't a bastard. His parents.
He's
I
not a
think,
bastard.
were
They say
married.
he's. They say,
That's true.
but like in Night Court, like culture, they view Night Court. They view him as like other people in Night Court see Reese as good as a bastard, basically.
Yeah.
Because he's
Yeah.
not pureborn.
Okay, so basically none of the inner circle was under the mountain, we find out, because they were all here. They're all obviously kind of guilty and somewhat ashamed, but they stayed safe and they kept this city running in his absence. Basically, like I don't think that Amarantha knew any of these people existed really or had any significance, so that's kind of the deal. Yeah.
It's also, I'm realizing, a great explanation for why we as a reader would have never heard about Velaris in the first book. Is like, it was a secret. Like, you never knew about it.
You got
me. Yeah.
Hard to argue with that.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, we didn't really know about anything else at the Spring Court.
That's true though, because
Yeah.
like we only know what Feyre knows, and she wasn't told shit.
Yeah, no one told her anything.
She was
as far as
mostly
she was gonna stay in the Spring
gaslit
Court.
and lied to for an entire book.
Well,
Yes.
yeah. Okay, so Cassian and Azrael were both bastards of local lords and like war people, war leaders. and
War people, yeah.
War people. I don't know, warlords.
Hello, I am local war person Joe. Nice to meet you.
So
we get Rhys, Cassian, and Azriel's like
backstories essentially.
How they knew each other. Rhys talks a little bit about just Illyrian culture in general, about how women have their wings clipped as soon as they come of age, so they can turn them into like baby making machines, basically. Like women in Illyrian culture have one purpose, and that is to produce more male warriors. That is the entire purpose of Illyrian women. And the only reason Rhys's mom escaped that fate is because Rhys's dad saw her as they were about to clip her wings, and dusted, or what do they call it when they dissolve, like turns people into. Basically, he killed the people who were going to do that and saved her.
He Thanos'd him.
And then turned her into his bride. And then
willingly, like they were in love.
Yeah, they had like a mating bond that clicked into place.
Right.
And they both
he imprinted on her.
They got married that night. And then later on, when Rhys came of age and got old enough, and he showed that he had the wings and he had like the Illyrian physique or build or whatever, his mom sent him to the war camp, and that's where he met Cassian, Cassian beat the shit out of Rhys, and eventually they met Azriel as well, and the three of them bonded over. They were all really, really powerful, but all bastards. So all the other kids at the camp hated them. So they kind of bonded together and formed a motley crew of the three of them being very powerful but very hated. And it wasn't until, and eventually later, once Rhys had been at the camp for 10 years or something like that, Rhys's dad finally came in to check to see how his training was going, and then realized that he was very threatened by the existence of his son and his friends. So he split them up during the war. And then it wasn't until after the war that they were able to get back together.
That war lasted for 7 years, I think they said.
I don't even know which war that was. I'm so turned around about which war is.
Yeah, I agree. I would love to see a timeline, because I also got confused.
Well, I know that the Amarantha. Yeah, that was probably maybe the first Hybern stuff.
Was that the war with Jurian and friends?
No, because that. Oh, I don't know. Actually, I'm so confused about timeline.
I don't know how old any of these people are.
Because didn't the Jurian War lead right into Amarantha's takeover? Or was there a break?
No, you
or
might
a
be
brief break. It wasn't thousands of years or anything between that.
Yeah,
I don't know what that 7-year war was then. Because we know that Rhys is 500 years old or something like that, right? At least.
Yeah, around.
So, and then that war seemed to happen when he was in his 20s or 30s, maybe. So there's some amount of time that happened. I don't know. Time is so confusing.
Yeah. All right. So basically, we find out about their history together, and Cassian is doesn't have any special powers really. But we do know that Azriel, we learned that he is a shadow singer. And that means that he is they didn't really say too much other than they're super, super valuable, but they're really good at stealth, and they can see and hear things that other people can't see, I guess.
They said that the shadows talk to him, and then which
makes him a good master of whispers.
Ambiguous. Yes, absolutely. And then Rhys obviously has his, mind powers. He's a
mind
grabby hand thing. We finally watched Deadpool versus Wolverine last night, so now I'm thinking of that.
Oh
that
yeah, when
hand,
she puts her
hand thing. Yeah.
I said yeah. That's what
yeah, and then Cassian's just very strong, so the three of them form a pretty good crew.
Nice. Yeah. So Rhys appointed, the inner circle here basically, and told his father's court, his existing cabinet, hey, if you guys don't like my motley crew I've put together here, then you can fuck off. And they're all right, and they left.
They all, literally all of them fuck off, and then he lets them all stay under the mountain, and which is where the old night court was.
Yeah.
And let them kind of
do debauchery parties. I don't really are they having orgies down there?
I don't know. He makes it sound like it's like a nightmare court. Like he like leaves them to their own devices to lead these like fucked up weird lives and rule themselves in whatever the way they seem fit. And in doing so, they stay out of his business and let him rule the rest of the night court.
Yeah. So basically, he does also express that even the citizens here like only really like tolerate him as their leader just because they hate the Illyrians so much. But regardless, we then hear about the Court of Dreams, which is what we are here.
Well, they
refer
to themselves as the
yes. Court of Dreams. Which is what we originally were told to name our Discord thing, but then we're told not to because it's a spoiler for us. So I don't know. Anyway, Court of Dreams. All I was saying was that they introduce themselves and say like we're the Court of Dreams, and like they wave their hands and I think like rainbows come out. But anyway, that's
like in SpongeBob where he goes imagination, and he does that with his hands.
Yeah, we're like the Court of Dreams, and then like flowers, whatever. So basically, they are like, hey, we let the Court of Nightmares, is what we call them, under the mountain. We kind of just let them do whatever they fucking want, and they sort of leave us alone. Like, and they'll kind of just tolerate Reese because he leaves them alone there. And
then Moore says that she was originally born in the Court of Nightmares, and she got out. We don't know how. She doesn't go into specifics.
Yeah, I was almost spoiled on that, but thankfully saved myself.
That's a really random thing to be spoiled on.
Well, no, because when I was talking to Lindsay about this, she's like, "Oh my God, what did you think about Moore and her escape from?" And I was like, "No."
Oh,
no.
So we don't know about that yet.
No,
Lindsay didn't know what we had read.
No.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, we learn about the they want to hear about Feyre's story. So she's like kind of surprised that Reese didn't like tell them everything, but I think that's nice that like he was just like, "Oh yeah, I'm bringing somebody with me. Like you'll figure out her deal, I guess."
Hey, just trust me, she's cool.
Yeah.
She's cool. She's chill.
Yeah, let her in the bar. And so she talks about how like, her dad was kind of shitty and her sisters were kind of shitty and like sort of sounds like we had a baby coming in.
It's the vacuum baby.
It's lunchtime.
Our
30-minute false start kind of fucked up timing.
It did, yeah. We'll be done in a few minutes here.
Yeah,
so we're getting close to the end here. She does come to the decision that like she is going to work with Reese because like she realizes that like Tamlin and Ianthe were like insane for all the stupid reasons they came up with to gaslight her about why she couldn't train. And,
yes. Because Cassian offers to train her, and she very stupidly says, "But then won't that look bad?" And everyone kind of
is like we all. I think it's more to the fact that like it's like we already all look as bad as we could. Like this is also unorthodox, and like we're not the people that we're supposed to be running this country. So it's just like so funny to them that like she's worried about like won't like a woman training look bad for the court.
And also more brings to the fact of just like, hey, you're not in the spring court anymore. You can do your own thing, which is nice. So then Feyre agrees to train with Cassian, and Reese seems surprised about that.
Yeah.
And then Feyre says out loud, "I'll join your team," and everyone else kind of like was confused, and Feyre realizes that they didn't know this is basically an interview for them.
Yeah, like that was the interview panel that they weren't aware they were interviewing her. But yeah, she said she's like, yeah, I'll start tomorrow. And we learn from Reese that the King of Hybern is about to launch a war, and he wants to resurrect Jurian, the guy who was the lover of Amarantha's sister. Wait, wasn't he a human though?
He's a human. I don't understand what he was. Not only was he a human, he also fought against the fairies. So I don't know, like what. I mean, we'll find out. Obviously,
we're gonna find out.
What is the strategy, though? I'm going to resurrect this human who hates fairies to fight with me, a fairy, to kill other fairies.
Yeah, like, why would I need this human
I'm
to
sure
do
it's
that,
something
though?
to do with, like, the connection that was established ultimately through whatever magic was done on him by Amarantha to keep him alive as, like, an eye and a severed penis or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm sure...
Finger bone in the realm of this book does actually mean severed penis.
Yeah, it's high fae slang. Yeah,
So the adder,
Yeah,
we
sure, it's
find
something
out
with that.
the adder escaped with Jurian's eye and finger, and he went to the King of Highburn. They did not catch him.
I'm picturing it's like that scene from God, what was that Tarantino movie with where he's like, "Oh, I got your father's watch. I had to hide it up my ass." And it's like the adder just shoving Jurian's eye and severed finger up his ass. Like, you had no idea what I had to do to smuggle this out of there. You're gonna want to watch that first.
So then they're like, all right, guys, obviously we need to talk to the bone carver. And everyone's like, right, yes.
Yeah,
Yeah. And Fair's like, what is the bone carver?
Everyone else is like, oh, fuck, not the bone carver.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't want to do it.
It's like everyone knows about the bone carver. We don't want to go in there. It's like, what?
well, the bones are his money, and so are the worms.
Yeah, but
that's where I think you should leave fans.
I keep calling her Armin because I'm talking about like I'm talking about
Amryn.
fucking it's Amryn.
Yeah, Amryn
sorry.
Electra. Yeah.
I keep thinking of Armin from Attack on Titan, which is a different person. Only person that he might talk to is Feyre, just because like she's crazily weird, like with an immortal with a human soul. And Rhys is like, hey, would you like to do this? You don't have to. And she's like, yeah, and agrees to do it. So that's where we leave off.
She says, how bad can it be? And Cassian's like, pretty fucking bad.
Yeah, she's like, how bad could it be? And they all look at the camera together.
And they go, pretty bad.
So yeah, lots of lore dumping in this one, but again, in a definitely better way and also more interesting way than in the last book. So I do feel a little bit more caught up, at least, but I think that this stuff will kind of have to explain itself as it plays out a little bit more.
I mean, these 4 chapters didn't really feel like it moved the story. I mean, I guess it did move the story. Like we get to a new location, we meet new characters.
We're basically getting the setup for the rest of the book is all.
Yes, it's like it feels like, okay, this is the first 12 chapters of this book. We're telling the audience why everything that happened in the last book actually fucking sucked, and we don't care about that. And now here's the introduction to the real book.
That's exact. This is like the rise of Skywalker. It's like the first half of the movie is just like everything in that last movie didn't happen and sucked. Check out this.
Except I hope we get a lot better of a book.
No,
Skywalker
God, it will be. It would have to. It would have to be. Just there's no way. All right.
I would say even though this didn't move like the plot, I'd say this moved Feyre's personal growth these chapters significantly.
Yeah, Feyre had a lot of like realizations as like, okay, maybe my life can be better now. Basically, expecting more from herself, expecting better from her life.
Yeah, because the whole part 1 was kind of the showing the collapse of Feyre's relationship with Tamlin, and then hitting the climax of him trapping her in the house, and then her finally having to come. Now it's her finally coming to terms with everything coming to a head with that.
The only thing I'm disappointed about really in these chapters is that after the way that last chunk ended, I was so excited to see the fallout of that. Like, him trapping her in the house, her going to the Avatar state and trapping herself into a dark cocoon, and more saving her from the house. All our predictions last episode were like, oh my gosh, what's going to go down? Tamlin's going to save her. There's going to be war with the Night Court.
Yeah,
I was so excited to see all the fallout, and then this is basically like, throwing that down the field a little bit.
Forget about this Tamlin guy. Who fucking cares? Listen to this.
Well, I think
Tamlin guy.
I think one of you had said that she has. I'm pretty sure one of you had said in the last episode, but she has to have time to process. Like from a narrative standpoint, she has to have time to process everything that has happened and have her own growth for that re-encounter with Tamlin to have more significant weight. If he just came back immediately, it would not have any sort of emotional. Or it would still have emotional weight, but not nearly as much if we let it cook for a little bit.
Yeah, she needs to reestablish herself as her own person before she confronts him or whatever.
And she's done at least a decent amount of legwork in that, where she's kind of very just much decided. Okay, me and Tamlin are done. I'm done with the Night Court. The Spring Court. I'm not going back there. And my new home was the Spring Court or the Night Court. I'm working with these people now, so that when Tamlin does finally show up and she has to face him again. Hopefully she'll be very confident in, hey, this is who I am now. Honestly, as much as I want to see that come to a head and see her face Tamlin, I kind of want to see her get more training first and have her be well fed and she's putting weight back on and feeling better about herself. She's just in better health mentally, physically. Maybe she started training, so when she finally sees Tamlin again, he has to be faced with the fact that she's like doing way better than she was.
Yeah.
Yeah, visibly see. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's a victory there in just thriving and succeeding through all of it.
Yeah, it's like when you break up with your, someone, you see your ex again, and then you see that they're doing way better without you. You're like, oh man, that fucking sucks.
Yeah. True. All right, so let's wrap it up here. Since we're running a little bit over on our scheduling time here. So thank you guys for listening. You can find us at akababpod.com. You can join our Discord there. We have like we have an Instagram as well. Same thing, akababpod. You can find us there. And our theme song is Red Queen by Parachutes. Go check it out. They have some songs on. By the way, we got copyright tagged for using the song that we have the rights to, which was kind of satisfying for once in my life.
How do we do that? How do we bypass that?
I already got it. It's already done.
Oh, sick. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Also, who copyright tagged is?
YouTube.
They do it automatically.
Yeah.
They do it automatically, yeah.
Oh.
But I was like, fuck you, I have the rights to use this song, actually, so eat my ass, YouTube.
Yeah,
You
I
have to
have
send them a documentation showing you have the rights to it, or how did that work?
You can, but I just, refuted it, and it just went through. Like, it's an automatic
okay,
thing, like
sweet.
Joe said. It just happens on its own whenever any music is played in anything.
Cool.
But if you do have to prove it, yeah, I can just show a document, which is our email. We don't need to talk about this. All right. Anyway, that was fun though. But yeah, check out Parachutes on. They're on Spotify and they have some shows. Parachutes_.atl. If you're in the Atlanta area, check out their shows.
_ATL, not _.atl.
Did I say
Parachutes
.atl?
You did.
I don't think what?
That's just how web brained I am, man.
Parachutes_ATL.
Okay.
On Instagram. They have 2 singles on Spotify, but we also didn't do predictions. You're trying to speed this through. We're already over time.
I am, because there's a baby screaming for food in the
Fine.
background.
I predict things are gonna happen.
I predict that Tamlin's
Whoa.
going to continue sucking.
I predict that Tamlin and Feyre will not have their encounter for another 5 chapters at least.
Okay, that's a good solid. Ugh. It's a good solid one. Okay, I'm starting to hiccup. We got to get out of here. Keep on trucking, everybody.
Keep on trucking. Support your local bookstores.
See ya.
Bye.
Tick, 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 tick on the wall. Maybe you could have it all. Get down on your knees and pray. Maybe she will let you stay good enough if you play the game.